is how do you build that structure. So we will take around, it will take around 15-ish minutes to understand what the structure of this debate is. And it might seem really difficult at first, but trust me, it's really easy. And you have every right in this universe to bug me till you get and drill down what the debate is, what the format is, how do we go about it. And we designate around 15-ish minutes for the same purpose. So I'm going to start sharing the screen and then we will begin. So the brief structure of the format which we are going to follow is divided into 7 parts, which I'm going to cover. First up, essentially the debate format which we're going to follow is derived from Asian parliamentary debate, which is being modified for the Toastmasters purposes today. Now, as Mudit sir just said, the President Saab just said, there are 2 teams which are divided into 3 role players. Plus, as you can see, the team is called government. Government is someone who speaks in favor of the topic. And the opposition is, of course, which speaks against the topic. And the topic in the common parlance, in terms of the jargon, it is called a motion. Like it is tabled in the Legislative Assembly and the Parliament, it is called a motion. And motion is debated. So the motion is debated. One team will talk about in favor of the motion and one team will talk about against the motion. So we have 3 roles and 3 corresponding roles, if I may add so. In government, the first one, which is there on your screen right away, is the Prime Minister. Prime Minister is the first speaker. Correspondingly, we have the leader of opposition, which is there in the opposition team. Likewise, the second speaker in the government team is Deputy Prime Minister. In the corresponding role, Deputy Leader of Opposition. And the third role is Government Whip and the Opposition Whip. So we'll understand what these roles are and how to go about it. But as of now, we need to understand 2 teams, positive and negative, favor and against the motion, 3 different roles. Are we together on this? I'll keep on asking this again and again because this might get a little difficult. Speaking order, let's understand this before going into the specifics of what to do for each role. First, the Prime Minister will come to speak, then the Leader of Opposition, then the Deputy Prime Minister, then the corresponding Deputy Leader of Opposition, then the Government Whip and the Opposition Whip. The last 2 roles, you're in for a surprise, and this is something which we will reveal towards the end. Now let's dive into what these roles are. Essentially, the Prime Minister is the first speaker in the whole debate. The Prime Minister is the first speaker of the government team too. So he will come and essentially what he'll do is talk in favor, give arguments in favor of the motion, right? And likewise, the second speaker is the leader of opposition. And what he essentially does is to give arguments against the motion. Now, what happens most of the times is while we're debating, for example, I and Mudit are debating whether to have this debating Thursdays or not. So I might put my view, which for this case might be against the view or in favor of the view, but I'm not giving sir a chance to come up with a different radical view. And sir would eventually, this would come into fish market because sir is posing counter arguments to my own point. So this is the fish market. So we have delineated this process to evade this fish market scenario. So let's summarize this. The Prime Minister, government team, gives arguments in favor of the topic. You might jot down on some paper using your pen. Will help you certainly. And the second speaker, leader of opposition, against the topic. Clear as a, let's move to the next role bearers. Okay. Now the second role bearer of the government team is the Deputy Minister. Now the main role of Deputy Prime Minister is, imagine you are in a team where your first speaker, that is the Prime Minister, he has already gone and spoken in favor of the topic. But the other team has flabbergasted and talked about the demerits of the problem, of the issue at hand. So now you're going in a scenario where there's already bloodshed on the battlefield. So what you're doing is first you're defending the case. So it's not that wrong because the leader of opposition has just gone and talked about the demerits of the problem. Now your task is to give rebuttals, to give counter arguments to the arguments proposed by the leader of opposition. So do you realize that we have delineated, the process is delineated. Likewise, you also have the chance, the DPM also has the chance to present extension arguments. Now, what do we mean by extension arguments? The PM comes and the leader of opposition comes. They give the most important arguments, and those arguments are called substantive arguments. The second people come, the deputy prime minister and the deputy leader of opposition. They give counter arguments to each other, which were already there, and also give additional arguments. These are called the extension arguments. They are not the most important ones, but you can certainly avail the opportunity of giving more arguments. Are we clear on this as of now? Third, government whip and the opposition whip. The government whip comes essentially and summarizes what's happening. You just imagine the scenario. For example, Mudit sir is the government team and he is the whip and he is nearly the fifth speaker to go. What he has already seen in the battlefield is that his two team members, the prime minister and the deputy prime minister, they've already gone and there has already been a lot of bloodshed. So now he comes and he's, okay, let's wait, let's summarize what are the most important points that we were talking about. You summarize and prioritize the issues in the debate, and then you give, okay, the other team talked about this point, but you give rebuttals against it. Please keep in mind, there are no new arguments which can be posed by government whip. No new arguments which can be proposed. Only you can give rebuttals to the other team. And there is a reason why we have this rule. Because this happens to be the last role bearer in each team. So if you're giving new argument, then the other team does not have the chance, does not have the opportunity to come back to you and reply. So thereby, you can only reply to the arguments already proposed by the two team players and not give new arguments. Likewise, the for the opposition, which is whip. Yes, Sakshi, you were raising your hand.
I want to ask that there's going to be that particular order, right? The PM and the leader, and then the deputies, and then the whips. So it is not like one team is going to go on and anybody and everybody from that team is speaking and anybody and everybody from the other is responding. That would be your definition of fish market, right? So there has to be an order.
Yeah.
We have to first decide as to who will be the prime minister, who will be the deputy, and who will be the whip. And in multiple people, how that's going to work.
Absolutely. This is why it's a team sport.
No, but in
no,
the
so we only have 3 people in each team. We only have 3 people in each team. So we only have 3 people in each team. Don't worry. We're not having multiple role bearers for each speaker. Don't worry. That's not going to happen. We have 3 role bearers in each team. And you have, because realize this debating is also a sport, a team sport. It's like a team tournament. First, you are applying your mind and finding the arguments against, and you're also finding the plausible counter arguments that your opponent can propose. You're planning it out. And then you're talking to your team. Okay, sabse pehle tu ye bolna. Second pair, you talk about this. Third, this might be the counter argument. So you have to think along these lines. So this is something the planning has to go in the team. So are we on this? So all in all, let me summarize before we move on to what this unique thing is. The first 3 things, the government team and the opposition team. Government team, 3 role bearers: prime minister, deputy prime minister, and government whip. Prime minister, main arguments in favor. Deputy prime minister, rebuttals. And third one, summarization and rebuttals. Likewise, the corresponding roles for the opposition team: the leader of opposition against the motion, main points. Second person, deputy leader of opposition, give rebuttals. Third one, government whip, summarizes and then gives rebuttals. So now this is a unique thing which we have added. This is the opposition reply speech and government reply speech. What this means. Now, as we know, that Sakshi just pointed out, that this might be the case that we only have 6 people who are participating in the debate. So what about the others? So towards the end of the speech, when already 3 from this side and 3 from this side have already spoken, what will happen is this particular speech and this particular speech is open to everyone, anyone. In fact, that is my discretion. I can call upon anyone to deliver this speech. And what you have to essentially do is to summarize. For example, you're giving a government reply speech. So essentially, you are the last speaker in the government team. So what you will do summary, and then you'll say essentially why my team is better than the other team, why my team must win the case and not the other team. So for this to happen, you must pay keen attention throughout the debate. What are the arguments being proposed? What were the counter arguments and everything? So this will really challenge our mental ability to an extent I think potentially nothing else can. So this is the surprise element that anybody can be the government, can give the government reply speech and the opposition reply speech. Remember, no. Hanji sir.
So what are rebuttals?
Rebuttals in simple terms, what you can consider is the counter arguments. For example, the Prime Minister has already proposed in favor of the motion 3 arguments, 3 main points. But now you do not come with new points. You talk about these 3 points and talk about how these 3 points are not really the points. They are not really true arguments. You are giving rebuttals, you're giving counter arguments. In simple terms, counter arguments and rebuttals are the same. So let's not go into the nitty-gritties because it will become really difficult then. All right?
Yes.
So let's remember, no rebuttals and no new arguments to be given in the last speech. That is the reply speech. You just have to keenly observe the whole debate, which will go for around 40 minutes or so, 35 to 40 minutes. And then once you're keenly aware of the arguments proposed and the counter arguments, you are well within your capacity to deliver this speech. Now let's move on to the time limit. For the 6 role bearers divided into 2 teams, the time limit is 4 minutes to 6 minutes. Arpit, are you there? Arpit is the timer for the day. Hello,
yes,
Toastmaster.
Noting.
So 4 minute green light, 5 minute is yellow light, and 6 minute is red light. 30-second grace period on each side.
Okay.
For the reply speech, both ways.
4 minutes for each. For Prime Minister, 4 minutes. Then...
Yes.
Wow.
For each.
Too much.
So for 2 to 3 minutes, the reply speech, which is going to come at the end, 2 to 3 minutes, and 30-second grace period on each side for both. 2 minute green card, 2 minute green card, 2.5 minute yellow card, 3 minute red card, and 30-second grace period.
Aman, if I may interrupt here, since we're doing it just for the first time, how do you think that we reduce the time for the participants, because it will be a bit easier?
Yes, of course.
We can do that, sir. So what do you suggest?
Let's have a 2 to 3 minute each for the participants as well.
Done. 2 to 3.
Arpit, I hope.
Noted, sir. Noted.
Okay.
2 to 3 minutes for everybody, along with 30 seconds grace.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, noted.
So let me clarify once again. 2 minute green light, 2.5 yellow, 3 minute red light, 30-second grace period on each side.
Okay.
So now let's get back to, we have covered the 4 points, and these are just the smaller ones which are going to get covered in another couple of minutes. Now question comes, what is POI? And this is really important. Please pay close attention. So for example, if I am the Prime Minister, I think, sir, when we have reduced the time limit, then perhaps it won't make sense. So let's skip this part. POI is when the other team gets an opportunity to interrupt in between and ask questions. So I think we can skip this part because we have already reduced the time to 2 to 3 minutes.
Yes. Let's skip it. Let's make it as simple as possible for the first time.
Sure. So for the rest of the people who are not going to participate, but you very well might be the one who is going to deliver the reply speeches. So let's understand 3 simple points when it comes to evaluating and observing the whole debate. First is substance over style. Now what happens most of the times in Toastmasters is there's a lot of emphasis, and more often than not it is there, of style over substance, of how you speak, the delivery, rather than the content of what you speak. This is essentially the reason why the president proposed we must have debates too, because we might tilt the balance in the other side. And take notes, everyone. So the Prime Minister comes, the leader of opposition comes, every speaker is coming, and now you're taking notes. What are the arguments being proposed? How is the counter argument being gone? So we are keenly noting everything down. I think that is the key. And focus, I would like to explain this, focus not on what arguments rebuttal they bring, but how they prove them. Let's take a simple example to explain this. I come up and say, buy this jug, which is there in front of me, buy this jug and it will cure you from COVID. This is my assertion. This is my assertion. So pay close attention to how I'm going to prove this, not merely paying attention to what the hypothesis or the assertion is. So likewise, I might say, the speaker might come up and say that if we ban homework, perhaps we can have student-teacher enrollment ratio gone up higher. But there is no proof. Please pay close attention to what's the proof. What proof are they bringing on ground? So that's more important, not merely focusing on the assumptions or the arguments, but how are they proving it? So these are the three things, simple things, which we would like to keep in mind. Now, I think it will get really difficult for us to understand the selection of motion process. So what I'll do is I'll simplify it and I'll display three motions or the debating topics here on screen. But before that, before we move on to how do we select one out of it, let's have volunteers who are going to participate in it. So please write in the chat box and I'll make breakout rooms for all of you who are going to participate.
For that, Aman, I think just stop the screen share as well so that we can look at each other and be more comfortable. Yeah. So I hope before we do the breakout rooms and before you put your hands up, let's have a small quiz. So what does the Prime Minister do? Anyone?
Man ki baat.
Yeah, this was a perfect reply. It couldn't have been better. Yes.
Man ki baat man mein hi nahi, bahar.
Perfect. Prime Minister does Man ki baat. I agree. Like Prime Minister will come and state his arguments. Yes, Ritika, if you have add something to it.
No, I was just about to speak the same. That he's the first person to come up and proposes an argument.
Yes. And now, what does the leader of opposition do?
Counter-attack.
No, not exactly counter-attack. Anyone else?
He sums up the points of his team, which are against the assertions made by the Prime Minister.
Okay, so let me clarify. Let me just put a word on that. So both the leaders, there are two teams. That was four. There are two teams. You divide into breakout rooms. You go there in the breakout room. Among your team, each one has 3 members. Now, the first task that you do is you decide as to who is going to be the leader, who's going to go second, So these are all terms, right? Let's remove the terms. Let's remove the terminology and make it simple. There are 3 people in your team. You decide who goes first, who goes second, who goes third. Now, how do you decide that? The one who has very flamboyant speaking style, ideally, I think, should go first because he presents the arguments best way. He is not going to counter. Now, who goes second? Second is someone who has the middle skill level in both the ways. It's the person who goes down and says that, okay, I will present rebuttal. I will find out the loopholes in the speech that the opposition has given, and I will present those points, as well as if we missed out, now you are always thinking, you are in the breakout room, you thought about your points, have put it together, you decided who will be first, who will be second, who will be third, and both the teams come back to this. And we start. First is the Prime Minister. He speaks up for the motion, and he gives a really good speech. Second comes the leader of the opposition. The team has now decided what are their points, best point to refute. So he delivers that. Now the third person who comes, who is from the government, he says, okay, that was great, but I think the leader from the opposition was wrong in this and wrong in Z. And I also came up with one more point to support my point of view. So he does that simply. Now, the same job is done by the second person who comes from opposition. So he says, no more man ki baat, because man ki baat is bakwas. And I have these points to prove, 1, 2, 3. And he goes on with those. Plus, he says, oh, I have a light bulb movement. I just thought that we have one more point to support our argument, right? So far, so good. Now I want to ask, what is the third person not allowed to do?
make new arguments.
Yes, that's very important. You are absolutely right, Ankit. The third person from both the teams is not supposed to make new arguments. And what is he supposed to do then?
Is let me cheat.
He's supposed to sum up
the party
summarize and give rebuttals.
Yes, of course, Mike, you got it right. Both the things. He is supposed to summarize and provide rebuttal to the speaker who just came prior to him. Yeah, that's pretty logical way to go about. Now, do we have any doubts on this? Any doubts, anyone? Okay.
I have one doubt.
Yes.
So the PM comes, he gives 3 points, right?
Whatever number of points you give in 2 to 3 minutes.
Suppose he gives 3 points.
Yeah.
3 new points. Then the leader of opposition comes, he gives 3 points, which are different from PM. And there is no reply from that side, right? Then the next speaker, the DPM, he is supposed to give arguments, new arguments, plus some rebuttals.
Yes.
Right? So he will have a little time for that, because compared to DLO, the DPM will have a few moments to basically frame his arguments.
Yeah.
So how do we
get your point?
Balance that?
Okay. So that's the whole thing. Like, you breakout room, you start not just think about your arguments, you also think about what the opposition will come up as an argument, and you prepare a counter to that as well, right? And I think Aman would have something more to add to it.
Okay, so I think you very well summarized and had a quick quiz. I think that was really important. Thank you for that, Mudita. Now, answering your question, Aniket, please keep in mind the first 2 speakers are not giving rebuttals to each other, but the other speakers have an option to. And essentially, the last speaker and the second speaker, they are mandated to do that, right? So last speaker has an option to do that. So you realize that every speaker gets the equal amount of chance, the third speaker, the fourth speaker, the fifth speaker, sixth speaker, to prepare the same amount of thing. So it's about challenging yourself. So it's, for example, when we have evaluations in Toastmasters and we have 3 speeches. So you might say the first evaluator comes and the third evaluator comes, he gets maybe 7 minutes extra. It's okay. But let's remember, we'll have a 30-second break to think and come up after each speaker is done. So for example, PM is done, we can have a 30-second break, and then the leader of opposition come, and likewise 30-second break. So this is what is going to keep you on your toes, to identify the arguments and to think of counter to them and do that instantaneously. I hope I have answered the question. I think it didn't satiate your curiosity, but yes, that's the answer.
That's how the rules of the games are. And Sakshi, you have a question, and then we go ahead.
I have 2 questions. Yeah. Firstly, when the leader of the opposition comes up, can he make rebuttals to the PM's argument, or does he simply give his own arguments? And in case he does not have anything that he can contradict the first person's thing with, is that also fine? Because sometimes we agree with the basic definition of a certain thing.
Okay, Sakshi, first up, when given the fact that we have reduced the time limit, so let's keep in mind that we need to do the most important job for that, the respective role bearer which we have in each team. So for example, the second tier of speakers, that is the deputy prime minister, the deputy leader of opposition, both have the option of giving rebuttals and give extension arguments, more arguments. But given the time constraint, you might want to choose just giving rebuttals. Likewise, when the leader of opposition is coming, the primary responsibility is of giving the arguments against the motion, because this is what your team is doing for the 15 minutes while you're preparing, right? So if you have more time, then perhaps you can give rebuttals too. But that's the primary responsibility of speaking against the motion. That's
and what are reply speeches?
Reply speeches, the person would be called, anyone can be called, and he just have to summarize. For example, the government team spoke XYZ through different role bearers. So I am the government reply, I'm giving the government reply speech. So what I'll say, my team spoke this and the other team didn't speak this. So my team is better on these parameters because I'm noting down all the arguments in my diary. So essentially what I'm saying is, please get convinced that my team is supposed to win, because this is your last chance, right?
And we'll have voting also at the end?
Yeah, towards the end we'll have voting.
Yes, everyone gets to vote. So be like very, very alert as to what you're going to listen to. And Moini, you can keep your chips away for the time. Yes, so whosoever doesn't get to participate, now we are going to have, and I see Neha as well. And it seems like whichever team Neha goes to, a proficient lawyer is going to have an advantage. And I don't want to give that advantage to any team. So I don't know how we are going to balance it up. But before we get a raise of hand and interest as to who are the 6 people who get to participate in this, let me tell you, whosoever doesn't go into the teams, we are going to have a very fun-filled table topic session for those who are going to remain in this room and not be part of the breakout teams. All right. So shall we now have the interest from people who are willing to join this debate? Okay.
I think, sir, people have already posted in the chat, and I've already made teams based on it.
Oh, you've already done that? Perfect.
Because people have already posted volunteer.
Okay. Perfect. That's perfect.
So first come, first serve. Yep.
Yes. First come, first serve.
So the first team is comprised of Jaskirat. You're using the Chandigarh Toastmasters, right? Jaskirat.
Yes. Yes, Sam.
Okay.
I'm using.
So the first team, Jaskirat, Siddharth, Vishakha. You all 3 are in one team. Team number 2 comprises of Mayank, Mudit, and Sakshi.
Okay. I didn't write my name, but I get the chance to participate.
So do we have another? No, we can have a replacement. Yes. Don't worry, sir.
Yes.
Who remains? I think Ankit.
Actually, Siddharth has written his name, I guess.
Siddharth is already there.
Siddharth is there in team number 1.
Okay.
So who wants to take up my place? I'm ready to give up my place to anyone who wants to participate. Ankit? Ankit, and then Neha also raised her hand, but I think, yes, Neha says that fine, I don't want to be partial.
Ankit can.
Neha can probably jump in for the reply speech, because we already have reply speech as well.
Okay, Aman. Fine.
Yeah, I would also like to come for the reply speech if.
Okay, Ankit, so let's lock it up. You're in team number 2. Shall we go ahead with this?
Done.
What's my team actually? I didn't get the team.
Are you choosing now?
Man ki baat?
No, I'm just getting who all are in my team.
Your team is comprised of Mayank, you, yourself, and Sakshi. Okay. So I'll open it up, but before that, first up, we'll have a short. Can someone please tell किसी के पास coin है? हमें एक छोटा सा toss of coin करना है किसी के पास. तो cheat ना करना, देखो पहले बता रहा हूँ.
Okay.
ठीक है. साक्षी के पास है. Sakshi, you are there in the team, but I'm trusting you this time. So team number 1, can we have a representative from team number 1? Siddharth? Okay.
Sakshi, you are in the team. Let me do it.
This is fair now.
Yes.
Jaskirat, you are the representative for team number 1, and for team number 2, can we have Ankit?
Yeah.
Okay, so any one of you can choose head or tails, and based on it, we'll decide which team are you choosing, the government or the opposition. And I'll release the motion afterwards, the topic afterwards.
We'll go for the heads of this. Adjectives.
So Neha ma'am, we shall have a toss.
Okay, I got tails.
Jaskirat has his way. Jaskirat, before you choose whether you're opting for the opposition or the government, let me share the motions, because based on it, you will have the option of choosing it, right?
I have just one very quick question, please.
Yep.
Isn't the poll controlled by Jaskirat because he's
don't worry.
that account?
Sakshi, just chill.
Just chill, Sakshi. Okay, so what you have to do, I'm not going into the specifics of how it is decided. You have to note down 1, 2, 3. The topic number 1 is written over here. DHBT means this house believes that. So this is the statement. So for example, if you're choosing the government team, you have to speak in favor of number 1, number 2, number 3, right? So now your team has to choose the preference order in which you would want to go for either the government or the opposition. So first up, you can scan the motions which are written on the screen. Then let me know whether you're going for the government or the opposition. And then send me the preference order. First, tell me the preference whether government or the opposition based on the themes you can see. Shall I release the breakout room?
If we agree with the point 1 and point 2, so we are for the motion, we are the government.
I think a better way to do it is, for example, if I'm in the place of Jaskira. So what I'll do is, I'll see your third wala topic na, I have many negative points against it. Second, maybe I have many negative points, and first mein to mere paas negative points aa jayenge. So what I'll do is, I'll choose opposition because I think I have a fair chance of winning if I take the opposition, right? So likewise, it will depend on you. So first scan the three choices and frame in your mind whether you want to take up government or opposition. Okay. And you have 1 minute to make your choice. You can private message each other on Zoom.
Only one topic is to be selected.
Yes. No. First you guys have to select whether opposition or government.
The winner who's going to select? The winner of the toss?
Yes, already Ankit has won the toss.
No, Jaskirat has won the toss.
Jaskirat won, no?
Okay, yes, I'm sorry. Jaskirat has won the toss. So Jaskirat, you can private message your team players and you have 30 seconds to do so. Which side you should choose, and I'm starting the timer. In 30 seconds, let me know what your choice is. The government or the opposition?
Started, Aman. No problem. I started.
Okay. The other team might start scanning. What's your ideal team? Mudit sir, I hope no topic is so controversial.
On private messages. That is the only way to communicate.
Yes,
okay. And then you will be going.
If you give us a little bit more time, we can maybe do a
30 seconds are up.
WhatsApp group.
30 seconds more.
Okay.
I think probably a dictator will come up with an answer. It's not really possible to communicate in 30 seconds. But so, okay, Jaskirat, I think you are the dictator for the team.
So like I have to mention in each of the theme what we are going to do?
No, in general. So based on the themes. Yes, what is the team you are going to take? And I'll log that choice.
We will be going for the opposition.
Opposition. Now, I hope your team doesn't disagree with you now. Because there's no chance you are the opposition. The Jaskirat team is the opposition team and the other team is the government team. So now what you have to do, and you have 1 minute for the same, both the teams. Topic number 1 is written over here. Topic number 2 is written over here. Topic number 3 is written over here. Now you know which side you are going to speak on. The government is going to speak in favor of the topic and the opposition against the topic. Now send me on my private window, not on the everyone list, on my private window, your preference order. For example, you think that if you're a government team and you can really have good points in favor of topic number 3, then probably your list could be 3, 2, 1. You got the point? So please send me the preference order. And in case of query, jaldi batao, and then we'll have 1 minute. Shall we start the timer? किसी को query नहीं है तो
No.
Preference order representative भेजेंगे मुझे from each team on my personal window. Ankit and Jaskirat. Government team, I'm waiting for your response.
Just a minute. I'm searching for your name.
Okay.
1 minute is up, Aman.
Okay. Just give me a
I'm
second.
not able to share the screen because you are sharing it.
No problem.
That's fine.
Just wait a second. Okay. So from the preference order, the topic number 2 is the topic which we are going to have a debate on. Right? Topic number 2 is the motion at hand. This House believes that educational institutions shouldn't conduct online examinations during the pandemic. This is the topic at hand, and team opposition is going to speak against the topic, and team government is going to speak in favor of the topic. So shall I start the breakout rooms now?
Yeah, let's have a quick confirmation as to the teams have got the topic right.
Yes, we have got it.
Got the topic right. Okay.
And in case of query, please, abhi bata do, nahi to otherwise you will be there in the breakout room.
Just to be sure, so Ankit, what are you going to speak about?
So we are going to speak in the favor of the topic, which is this House believes that the online exam should not be conducted.
Should not be
during
conducted.
the pandemic.
Yes. And the second team, what are you going to talk about?
That online exams should be conducted.
Okay. In the pandemic.
Yeah, in the pandemic.
Right. So I hope both the teams have got the topic right. You need to have the full topic in mind and not the partial one. Number 2, what are the time limits?
2 to 4 minutes each participant.
Was it 2 to 4 minutes?
2 to 3 minutes.
2 to 3 minutes. Okay.
2 to 3
minutes.
Actually. Yes.
And what happens if you exceed 3 minutes? You'll be shown a red card, and if you keep on talking like you do in Toastmasters, what happens then? Will you be disqualified? Will your team get disqualified? What happens?
I think you can just mute us like in Parliament.
Oh, Aman?
Probably we can have disqualification, but given the situation that we are going to have debate for the first time, let's observe some politeness and not disqualify anyone.
Yes, let's not disqualify, but what we'll do is let's mute the person once that time is up, so that we respect the time limits as well. Yes, so both teams are ready. All right, give me a thumbs up if you are ready. The 6 people who are the lucky ones to go in the breakout rooms.
The breakout rooms have been opened, so people have gone now. Okay.
Oh, right.
I think all of them have joined.
Yes, all of them have joined.
So, of course, I mentioned that the prep time is 15 minutes, right? Wouldn't we?
No.
Okay, I'll go in each breakout room and tell them.
Yep.
So in the meantime, you can conduct a short table topic session.
Right. Perfect.
Hello, Aman. The prep time is 15 minutes.
Yes, it's 15 minutes.
I should also take a note of it then. Yes.
Yeah. So just start the timer now, Arpit.
Yes, sir. I've started, sir.
Okay. And now we are going to have the table topic session. And the rules of the table topic session are pretty simple. Anyone will be picked up and will be thrown a topic. And then after his take, any one of us will be picked up to evaluate. For the table topics, as we do, the time limit is, what is the time limit, Arpit, for the table topics?
1 to 2 minutes.
1 to 2 minutes. And you guess a grace time of 30
seconds. Yes.
And for the evaluation, the time limit is 1 minute.
Okay.
Yep. And you get a grace time of 30 seconds in that as well. So that's the rule of the game for the table topics that we are going to have. And let me know if someone already has topics in their mind. Otherwise, I'm going to be pretty random with the topics. So is anyone already prepared with some topics, or should we start? All right, no takers? Okay, so here we go. Toastmaster Navjot, your topic for tonight is blue. Blue Toastmaster Navjot.
Thank you, Toastmaster Mudit, for giving me this such an innovative topic. Okay, when we think about color blue, a lot of things comes to mind. The first thing which comes to mind is that sky is blue. And blue color is also related to so many other factors which does tinkle our mind as to what actually we mean. Like we say Saturday night blues, there also the blue color comes. That is how the color blue is used to express our Saturday's weekend feelings that we have. Then also we use the color blue when we say that when you hit someone, the skin turns blue with the injury what you get. And then blue definitely is the color of ink, which we often use to describe the writing, the literature part of it, and also to express anything related to education, or in the writer's gallery, we use the color blue to indicate something written intellectually or creatively. So that's all what comes to my mind when I think of color blue. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Navjot, for that interesting take. You took us through a ride of what all blue color can represent, and that topic was just out of the blue for me. I didn't think much about it.
That I missed.
And also, our Indian cricket team has a slogan to bleed blue. And on that note, I see a lot of people wearing blue, and out of them, one is feeling sleepy. So Toastmaster Vijayalakshmi, let's have you to review this take. You need to unmute yourself, ma'am.
Good evening to everyone. Navjot, you given some good points why you like blue and what's the good about the blue color. I think that the blue color is the corporate color. It is mainly in school or colleges, or I have seen from the childhood that the schools mainly keep the blue color, or the corporate color is blue, and it's reflect the discipline. That's why our Indian cricket team also wears men in blue. So you give it all the valid point, and you given the table topic like it was the prepared speech. So I was thinking that you are already prepared about on the blue color. So you give all the valid point, and your speech was really good, and it was worth listening. Good in all respect.
Thank you, ma'am, for that amazing evaluation. The speech was so good that, and your voice was so sweet that it probably had a sleeping effect on our evaluator. And on that note, I have a very interesting table topic coming up for you guys. And for that, I want 3 volunteers to raise their hands. 3 people who have the courage to take up something very interesting. I want 3 people to raise your hand, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, it's Ritika, Neha, and Aniket. Wonderful. Now, what's going to happen with your topic is you have 1 minute each to go pick up an object in your home which you like the most. Okay, so just stop here. Oh, okay. Neha ma'am already has something which she loves the most. Now here's the trick. It should be an unusual thing. It shouldn't be something that we can guess quite quickly, but it should be something which you really like. Okay. So you have another, and your time starts now. Just pick up an object in your home. You can move out of your window frame of the camera, move out in your home, and bring one object that's you think is unique, and just come up back again in a minute. Your time starts now. Done. All 3 of you are done? Perfect. So let's start with Ritika, because you were the first who opted for this table topic. Now, can we have that object?
I have to show you the object?
Yes. Okay. Writing pad with minions on it. Toastmaster Ritika, your topic is, if you were a minion, what were the top 3 things that you would do? If you were a minion, what were the top 3 things that you would do, Toastmaster Ritika?
Now, I think I'm a person who's just chronologically aging and not mentally aging. I'm still into that world of cartoons. I still enjoy being one among them. So this minion that I just showed, I feel minion is my spirit animal. We all might have seen that movie about minions. So the 3 things I picked up from that movie, and I really wish that I get to be a part of it, are, the first thing is that the minions, they just blabber. They don't know what they are talking about, and they just keep on blabbering. That's what I wish I can do whenever I'm given a table topic. Even if I make sense or I don't make sense, I just wish to blabber around. The second thing that I wish I can do is that one of the minions, they got a chance to be the king of the country. I wish I can be the king too. The third thing that I enjoy the most is that minions have the ability to make anyone and everyone laugh at whatever they're doing. So bringing up smiles on anyone's face is what I really wish to do. So these are the top 3 things that minions have taught me, and I hope all of you can be minions just like me. Thank you.
Amazing speech, and I couldn't gather that it was a random topic, and yet you had those elements of a speech in it. And to evaluate you on that speech, let us have Toastmaster Mohini.
Ritika, your speech was like a model table topic. It has a strong introduction, strong body, and strong conclusion. Plus, it has a surprise element because I have not seen the movie. I was always a CID fan. So it was something which was new to me, and definitely it motivated me to see that movie. Plus, you had a sync with your thoughts and your tongue because you have a control over the content and control over what you wanted to say. This is all from my side and no recommendations from my side. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mohini. And the moment you said you were a CID fan, and I could see a door behind you, and it just reminded me of the CID dialogue. Daya, darwaza tod de. So let's move on to the second person who showed courage in taking up this challenge, and it's Toastmaster Neha. So let's see your object.
This is a card made by my daughter for her Masi's birthday.
Okay, that's pretty interesting. So the topic for you, Toastmaster Neha, is greeting cards are just a piece of paper. Greeting cards are just a piece of paper, Toastmaster Neha.
Thank you, Toastmaster Mudit, for a lovely topic. Greeting cards are just a piece of paper, but the emotions they carry will stay as memories forever. Even though the pandemic time is going on, it was my cousin's birthday, who is very close to my children. So my daughter decided to celebrate her birthday online and give her this card, which was a very cute gesture. She wrote a beautiful poem on this card for her and even sang it for her on her special day. So cards can, even if the person is not physically around, cards can mean so much. This little piece of paper can mean so much to the other person. So many emotions we can tell. And in so many relationships, in a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship, we can give cards to each other and express so many emotions. children can make their own handmade cards and give it to their parents. And the first time my children gave me their cards, I still have it locked up in my locker. It's like the biggest treasure I can keep safely in my locker. So these little pieces of cards, of paper, they really mean so much to me. It has all their love, their emotions, their, everything in these pieces of paper. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Neha. And that was, if I may say, that was one of your best takes that I have seen on a table topic, because it had so much emotions into it, and we could feel all the emotions that were coming up with that take. And to evaluate it further, I would like to call upon Toastmaster Navjot. Toastmaster Navjot, you have 1 minute to evaluate this take.
Okay, Toastmaster Neha wonderfully covered the topic. You had everything which a topic should be like. You connected it with the emotions, the meaning, the relationship, and also the personal story which you shared. You were very well able to convince all of us that greeting card is just not a piece of paper. So that you did it very wonderfully and very convincingly, and the delivery was very fluent and flawless, wonderfully covered. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Navjot.
Thank you, sir.
There's just a quick announcement that if you want to participate, just switch on your cameras. I mean, we can't be talking to your pictures. So moving on, Toastmaster Aniket, let's have a look at the object, the unique object.
My object is, drum rolls, please. My pillow.
Pillow. Okay. Pillow. Toastmaster Aniket. I dream and therefore I am. I dream and therefore I am. Toastmaster Aniket.
Thank you, Mudit sir, for this wonderful topic. I dream, therefore I am. Isn't that what our leaders said when we were colonized by Britishers? Gandhi dreamed, Nehru dreamed of a country that was free, like us, to talk on a platform like Toastmasters without any permission from anyone. Isn't that the dream that our forefathers had? What dream do we have in our life? Is it just limited to what we have done, or it goes beyond that, something that we never thought of? For example, how many of you want to be the prime minister of this country? Have you ever dreamt of being a PM? If anyone has, please show me your hand. Why can't we the prime minister of the country? It's a democracy. We can just make our own party and contest elections. But how often do we dream of that? We never do. And such dreams withhold us. Not just being the prime minister, but anything we want to do, we think that we may not be able to do it. We're not up to that level. So let's break the shackles and dream big. And let us not limit ourselves. Thank you.
Amazing take. And just to remind you, we already have a prime minister who has gone in the breakout room, prime minister of the debating team. So they did dream, and probably they would be happy if they listened to you. And to evaluate, let's have Toastmaster Ritika. Ritika, if you're there, you can unmute and evaluate the speech.
Sir, I could not hear the whole speech. I had to go.
Okay, no problem. That's why I said we need the camera switched on. So let's have, who wants to evaluate? Let's have Toastmaster Shobit, if you're there. And on the count of one.
Hello, Mudit sir.
Yeah.
Mudit sir, I think we should keep it as the last topic, because I just confirmed with Aman that they are going to be finishing up with the preparation.
All right, perfect. So Toastmaster
just the last evaluation, I guess.
Done. Toastmaster Shobit, you get to evaluate the speech if you heard it.
I'm not at home right now, I haven't heard the speech, so I won't be able to evaluate.
All right, so we have people joining back. So I hope we had fun with the table topic session. And if you did, let's have a round of applause because we also have the teams coming back again. And welcome back to the teams. I hope you had a great time discussing the topics. And I need to mute someone, and I know who it is. Yeah. All right, Toastmaster Aman, the stage is yours. Let the debate begin.
Hi, teams. I hope all of you are not ready because the 15 minutes are too less. But this is how it is, and this is how we will challenge ourselves and challenge each other in the debate. And the battleground is now going to open. So we now realize who the first person is, the first speaker, the Prime Minister, then the Leader of Opposition, then the DPM, DLO, Government Whip, and the Opposition Whip. So this is the order which we're going to follow. Shall we begin? And I hope all of you are ready with your pen and paper because anyone can be called for giving the reply speech. That's also there at the end. And Timerji, Hanji.
Can the session be recorded?
It's being recorded.
It's getting recorded.
Timerji, are you there?
Yes, Aman. Yes, actually, there was some problem with the mute option.
Okay, no problem, no problem. So let's have the Prime Minister on the stage, and the Prime Minister is who? Team government. Sakshi.
Yeah.
Okay, Sakshi, the virtual stage is all yours.
Thank you, Toastmaster Aman. Thank you for giving me the stage, and thank you for giving us such a pertinent topic that must be discussed. We are talking about conducting online exams during the pandemic. It seems that we are trying to propose that technology is the goal solution for everything. But in projecting that image, we are pretending to be as able, as efficient as Western universities are, Western countries are. First and foremost, the most important thing, what is the most important thing we require for online exams? Speedy and stable internet. Can we assure that all the students in our country on a given day, at a given moment, would have speedy and stable internet connection? Can we assure that there are going to be no power cuts anywhere in the country? My second argument would be that online exams can be made into a sham. Our country is notorious for making the most out of the minimum resources. So open book exams can lead to cheating and spiking of grades for the students who are not as bright. And for instance, in one of these speeches, what I did was I pasted my arguments over my wall so that even if I forget, I could just read. And as creative as we Indian students are, I think the whole room, the whole table can be a canvas to look up formulas, to look up quotations in case the questions are on exams like topics like poetry or prose. So there is loads of scope for cheating, especially given that we all are aware of the portions we personally find difficult. So we're obviously going to make sure to make as many notes as possible from those and just ace the exam. My third point is that typing speed may not be necessarily the same for all students. In case we have subjective exams, there may be a lot of bright students who are slow in typing or who are not as tech savvy. And there may be some not so bright students who have been using some tactics to cheat, like making notes, etc., all around them. And they may have excellent typing speed and they may be able to make the most out of it, even though they do not have the required knowledge. So this is my argument. I invite the leader of the opposition team to present his argument.
So let's have a big round of applause for the Prime Minister for presenting her Mann Ki Baat. And I think all of us have understood and noted down the 3 points she was talking about. So now let's have the leader of opposition. And may I know who the leader of opposition is there in the opposition team?
I'm the leader of opposition, Aman.
Okay, Chandigarh Toastmasters Ji, Jaskirat Ji, the representative of the opposition team. Now the virtual stage is all yours.
Good evening, everyone. And today, I'm going to support that online examinations should be conducted. So as we all know, that we all are stuck in this pandemic time since 4 months. And we don't know like when it is going to be over. And since we are seeing that our Prime Minister has started unlocking everything in phases, so we can't just let the future of our nation, that is the students who are studying for the improvement of our nation, to be stuck. So why do we support online examination? Because promoting online studies is one thing, but a research has shown that if there is a criteria or if there is an event of examination going to happen, then students are going to be more focused during the studies. They are going to put more extra hours. They will actually study if there is going to be an examination going to held. Second point, people are working from home. So do children can. So can children too. We cannot limit them to only studies. We should also encourage them to give examinations. My next point is on cheating. I think cheating is a personal attitude, is a personal attribute of a person's character. Not everyone will have this character or intention to cheat. Most of us who have joined a course will have an intention to learn. So by considering this one attribute of cheating, we cannot like discard a process out of our education system. I know there are some children who are not going to who have limited resources so that they cannot participate in examination. But majority of the students can afford to participate. So my argument is we cannot discard a major portion of our education system just due to small percentage of people who don't have any resources. So over to you, Deputy Prime Minister. That's all for my comments.
So let's have a big round of applause for the leader of opposition for his fabulous take and a tirade against the motion. Now the time comes for the government team to unleash their most potent weapon. And the most potent weapon was busy writing and taking notes and thinking what to speak. And now the time is here. The Deputy Prime Minister, may I know who Deputy Prime Minister is?
I have the honors.
Okay, Chabra ji, here you go. The virtual stage is all yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you, the whole Parliament and our guests and everyone, every Toastmaster. Okay, so leader of opposition comes up with points which I do not buy at all. The first point he comes up with is they will be more focused on studies. I mean, who in his right mind can think of that argument that they are going to be more focused on studies? We are not a country where everyone is sitting in their comforts at their homes. Over 40% of the people are striving for food right now. Over 40% of the people are below poverty line. And how do you think their children are going to study? How do you think their children are going to afford all the material online to study. How do you really think they're going to sit for the online exam? I don't think. When there is an economic issue going at home, for the recent announcement by the Prime Minister, who said that ration will continue for over 50 crore families in our country, because they don't have food at the homes. When there is no food, nothing you can do without food. The second point Leader of Opposition comes up with is working from home. We all know how people are working from home. Only 1 to 2 hours. Let's talk about IT field people. They are only working for 1 to 2 hours. They make their projects, and rest, even in the meetings, they are on mute or on their videos are off. We all know they have a rescue plan every time. No one. It is just a formality that we are working from home. Only the IT people can do their projects, not everyone. So yes, I don't think everyone is working from home. Only 20 to 25%. Third part, he comes up with that cheating is a state of mind, that people who are cheating will only cheat who cheat in the class and not the other person. I am strongly against this viewpoint. When it comes to scoring marks, we are in a country where marks are everything. Okay, although we have come up with a new education policy day before, but we are craving for marks. Sharma ji crave for marks, Verma ji crave for marks, every neighbor craves for the neighbor's marks, and we are going to get at any cost. So a country where students' brilliance is not enough, so they are going to score the marks to satisfy their parents, to satisfy their teachers, to satisfy their neighbors particularly. So yes, and relatives. So I don't think if a person is having the option to cheat, even if I am going to cheat. Thank you so much.
I can see a lot of happy faces when Mayank was speaking, but one person out there was bleeding from his eyes. The whip from the opposition team, who is supposed to give counter arguments, must be finding it a really tough job. But before that, we would like to have the next speaker, and the next speaker is the Deputy Leader of Opposition. May we have the Deputy Leader of Opposition on the virtual stage?
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Aman. And I'd like to start with the statement that our Deputy Prime Minister has spoken, and I'd like to counter point by point. The first point that he says is that people won't be focused on studies since 40% people are poor and they can't afford internet. Now let me read out to you a research which has been published last week in The Economist magazine. The research says that of the 1.5 billion children forced out of school by lockdowns, 700 million are in developing countries. Consequences in poor places will be far worse. More children were in school now before the pandemic than ever before, according to the UNICEF. And in its aftermath, nearly 10 million people in 40 countries will never return to formal education. And that is estimated by Save the Children, a charity organization. Now, the economic impact of this pandemic has forced many to abandon their studies in favor of work. Now, we as a country, we as the opposition, we as the government need to tackle the situation, because people are leaving education, people are leaving their schools behind for work. And the research says that around 40%, more than 40% people will drop out of school after this pandemic is over. We need to address that issue. We can't just sit back and say that since this is a pandemic, we can't do anything. People will cheat, people will not work from home. So we just have to sit back and wait for the pandemic to get over. We can't do that. We need to come up with solutions. If there is a apada, as the government says, apada mein avsar, we need to find the opportunity to work on it. And it is the sole responsibility of the government. Why do we elect the government? We elect the government because we want the government to work on any or every threat that comes up. And that is why it is very important to find the solution. And the solution is online exams, and the solution is online studies. The second point, which the Deputy Prime Minister said, that people work from home, that I feel only 1 to 2 hours people work from home. Now, first of all, I'd like to ask what research or what study is this personal opinion based upon? Because this is totally a personal opinion. I think only 20 to 25% people work. Is there any study to back this fact, we may say, or this opinion? And one more point that the Deputy Prime Minister was speaking. Now, we all do crave for marks. That is a fact. But again, is that a good thing? No. This is the time. This is the time that we need to evolve. We are evolving in every aspect. We are saying that work from home is the new normal. So why can't we have a new normal in the education system? Why can't we sit in front of our computers and give exams? Now, since we have talked about cheating, I'd like to add one more argument. So we need to learn from all the other countries that are there, which are doing these online exams effectively. One solution I have for this, for the government, is that we can have students sitting in front of the mirrors and then give exams, because this method has actually been working very well for a lot of countries. So the government can think about this policy to tackle the cheating, the problem of cheating. And lastly, I'd like to close this argument by letting the government know that from the past 10 years, we are having online courses like Coursera and Udemy, and this is the future. We need to go with the future. We can't just sit back and say, when the pandemic is over, we'll move. People are suffering. 40% people might get left behind. We need to work on that. We need to ensure that people don't drop out of schools just because of this pandemic. We need to ensure that. The government needs to ensure that for the country. Over to the government way. Thank you.
Wow, wow, wow. This was something. Now this makes me realize, of course, I'm giving some time and I'm interrupting in between because I'm giving some time to the government whip to think what to speak next. In the meantime, we realize that different people have different aura, right? When we see the President Saab Shuklaji over here, we have a different aura. And the aura is, he can do salami slicing for any argument which you potentially can bring on his plate. He has that kind of aura. And after hearing to the Deputy Leader of Opposition speech, I'm sure his ISB admit aura is at full display. We all know that you've got an admit in ISB. So now we move on to the next speaker, and the next speaker is the government whip. So may we have the government whip on the virtual stage?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to speak. Firstly, I found the arguments of Mr. President, the leader of the opposition, the deputy leader of the opposition, to be vague and conjectural. Because the Prime Minister, the leader of the opposition said, the examination is the basis of success. Really? Have you forgot about the Mark Zuckerberg, who dropped out of the college? Have you forgot about the Bill Gates, who followed the same path? Secondly, he said the parents work from home so the students can. Really? Are you promoting child labor? The students should also do some online work. Thirdly, he said that the cheating is subjective. So some people will do and some people won't do. Again, we want to eradicate this problem from the basis. Now, if you are saying some people will do, so are you permitting the other people to do the cheating? I would like to ask the leader of the opposition, are you really saying this thing? And talk about the deputy leader. A big round of applause for him. He quoted some researches, 700 million people in the world. Half of them, 40% of them will drop out of the school. Okay, let me give you some facts about India. Let's talk about India, okay? 60% of the population is rural. We're still struggling to provide them 24 hours of electricity. We're still struggling to provide them internet. We're still struggling to provide them basic amenities, which are nowadays like the mobile phones, the computers. They don't have that. Even they have that, what about the electricity? What if it went out in between the exam? Then how will you justify that? Also, I found that arguments of the deputy leader to be based on his thought base. Like he said, okay, I think burnout only people work for 1 or 2 hours. And he said that the people work for only for 20 to 25% people they work. I mean, there is no basis of personal rationality in the debate. Okay. Now, this also makes me doubt about the research you put, the 1,700 million people of the world, because this can also be the conjecture. So, in all and all, I found the statements made by the opposition to be highly conjectural and vague. They did not root out the problems. They're creating more problems. They are allowing the cheating. They are okay if the majority of the population doesn't have technology. So, Mr. Speaker, this is my final argument, and back to you.
Let's have a big round of applause for the government whip. Now, Shuklaji, the President, sir, I think we need to take something back from you. The salami slicing aura, which I was talking about before, I think we need to give it to Ankit. But Ankit, you also need to change your name. It's no longer Ankit, it's Endit. And it seems so. So whether it's Endit or not, let's see when we hear the next speaker on stage, and who happens to be someone who's the last speaker and the opposition whip. So let us have Vishakha on the virtual stage.
Okay. So after listening to all the arguments, I've realized that the government is failing in its responsibility to, first of all, listen to the solutions that we presented and the research that we quoted, which they refer to as opinions, and in also providing the solutions. We have to realize that a pandemic can bring us to a standstill, or it can be an opportunity to promote education in new and innovative ways. And we have to realize that, yes, our country has problems. We have students who are not so poor, and then we have students who are poor and do not have internet access and other socioeconomic burdens that they are facing. So we cannot have a one-size-fits-all solution for everyone. Why do we need to have an exam on the same day for everyone? Why can't we have a slot booking system spread over a window of 2-3 months, where each government representative from each state monitors the situation in that particular state, and then comes up with, and based on the situation of the pandemic, allows the student to travel to a very nearby district with an online center where students with sufficient social distancing measures can go and give the online exam. Is it not the government's responsibility to come up with innovations like these? Secondly, the students do not have internet. The students do not have other infrastructure. Whose responsibility was it in the first place? First, you fail our students by not providing them the necessary infrastructure, and then you just leave their future for a toss by saying that there is a pandemic, so we cannot do anything. The government should realize that it's not a zero-sum game, that if some students are cheating, then everybody should be held back by 1 year and not do anything about it. Then thirdly, the government can come up with an online helpline, a toll calling number where even the poor students are able to book a slot as per their convenience. We have to understand that we have to give flexibility to our students in such a scenario. So summarizing all this, I would just like to say that if it's cheating, it can be solved by using mirrors and internet connection for students in cities who can give online exam from their homes. If it is a non-poor, if it is a poor student, then the government can spread the window of the exam to 2-3 months and have a slot booking system that they can book through a phone call. And with Jio and very cheap mobile and internet penetration, it is not very difficult for people to have an access to a cell phone, at least these days, for the purposes of calling. And then the government can make sure that the students are given an online tutorial, so that they're at the examination center for the students who cannot type on the keyboard, or for the students who do not know how to give an exam. They can have more of an objective component in the exam instead of a subjective component. Just shedding all responsibility by saying that there is a pandemic, so we will not let the future of this nation progress further, is not a sign of good governance. And as the opposition, we are totally happy to give in our inputs and take this forward if this government cannot do it. Thank you.
After listening to the opposition whip's speech, it seems so that if this is the arguments posed by the government, Vishaka says, "Tu ye kha." It doesn't work with me. I know it's a poor joke, but somehow I wanted to let it roll out. So now it's time for the reply speech. And for the reply speech, we have someone whom we say that these debates, making arguments and logic and reasoning is a baएं हाथ का खेल है. Because she's someone who deals with such things at a professional level. So let's have Neha Walia on stage as opposition whip.
As opposition whip. So am I only supposed to talk about the opposition part?
Yes.
And
why your team is supposed to win, not the other team.
Give me some time to prepare.
Okay. Mudiji, in case you're ready, you might want to take opposition whip.
Yes, of course. Just let me know about what I need to talk about.
Right. Exactly.
Whip from both the teams are supposed to do one simple thing. That is to finally convey what we discussed, my team has discussed, and now why should we win and not the other team? So essentially, you're summarizing the whole arguments and making some comparative analysis in case you remember a lot of points, and then putting towards the end that Mr. Speaker and the audience, we must win because we have these many points and the opposition didn't.
All right, amazing. So I'm supposed to be in favor of that the online exams should be held, right?
I can speak about the government.
Okay, so I'm going ahead with the online exams should be held. I'm just confirming that that's right. Aman?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. So, dear Toastmasters and guests, we have witnessed an amazing line of arguments wherein the government came up and said that online exams shouldn't be held. And my opposition gave enough arguments as to why this line of reasoning is incorrect. Number one, do you know when this pandemic is going to end? Anyone? Does anyone in the world know that when this pandemic is going to end? The answer is big no. And when you don't know when it's going to end, then what are you going to do with the studies, with the progress, and keeping the young minds engaged positively? Are you just going to leave them with the fate? Or are you going to give them solutions? Now let's come to the kind of solutions that we have. Number one, we have internet. We are in the age where the engine, as we talked about earlier, is the search engine, and that's brought about by the internet. Although the government says that the internet is not available to a lot of portion, however, you still can cover a lot of people with it. Isn't it similar to saying that I don't have hospitals for all the poor, therefore the wealthy should also die, those who can afford the education? Isn't it that kind of argument? So I don't buy an argument which says that, okay, I can't cover the 40% of the population with internet, so let's not have the exams at all. Let's leave behind that 60% as well. The government is responsible to reach out to each and every one of the country. And that's why the citizens elected and have faith in the government. And that's the job of the government. So I, as opposition, want to ask the government, what are you doing and what is the solution that you propose to reach out to each and every one of the person as a citizen of this country? Point number two, that there is going to be cheating. Oh, of course, there's going to be cheating. In past 70 years, haven't we faced cheating in any of the exams? Now, don't tell me that none of you cheated in your school exams. Didn't you cheat? Even if there was a teacher standing just next by to you, like I was having a copy and I was just putting down my notes. Even if the teacher was just inches away from me. And to add to that point, I have just recently come to know, and it's a fact, Manipal University conducted an exam online and they used artificial intelligence to check the cheating. And the student was pretty much scared of it because he knew that they had much advanced methods to track your motion, to track the audio, and track everything surrounding you to come up with a solution. And that's the kind of solution we want. And that's the kind of technology we want. So that with that progress, we don't have dumb kids sitting in their home, but we have scientists and researchers and astronauts who then solve such problems, solve the pandemic, and take us forward. So here is my argument, and back to you.
I'm not able, okay, so I'm able to unmute myself. I was struggling with it. So can we have a short quiz? I'm giving some more time to Neha Walia. Can we have a short quiz? Who remembers what was the theme of the joint meeting? Who remembers? Vishakha, yes?
Informed.
So what does that mean?
Go and see.
Go and see. So when I said and told all of you that this man right here, the president of the club, has an aura of salami slicing any argument you can bring, you didn't believe me. So now, Janbai Jujutsu, you just saw it and now you know. So now the time comes for the other whip, not the whip, but the reply speech. And for that, we have our Neha Walia.
Thank you, Aman. Well, as the opposition has brought out, it is easier said than done. Exams are not just the path to success. It is easy to say that the government must do this, that the government must do that, they should check on each and every student, which is not practically possible. The points that we elaborated initially were that people are going through an economic crisis. And on the other hand, if you see, even the courts have given their judgments in favor of the schools. Parents literally have no money to pay to schools, but they have to. It is all a formality of making people study and doing exams. Parents who have children will understand more what I'm trying to say, because we have witnessed our children giving exams. And which parent, tell me, we had instructions from the school that sit with your parents so that they don't cheat. But when the parents see the child leaving a question, they say, "Beta, dekh le," you know, why are you leaving 2 questions? Just see, it's okay. And they just leave the room. So this is what happens. Which parent wants the worst for their children? So all the parents, and I would say even the children who stand first in their classes, are the ones who are making the best use of these assessments and exams. It is just a formality because the schools want to mint the money in the name of education, which is not right. We must see the plight of the parents, the economic crisis that is going on. People have no jobs. Most of the people, only 20 or 30% of people are working from home. They are in the IT department. What about the others? What about the rest who have manual jobs and they are not able to work and earn anything, but are pushed by the courts, by everyone to pay to the schools? What about those people? I personally think that exams should not happen. In this time, children should not be stressed. People are committing suicides. They're falling into depressions. Children are being coaxed to study just because the school wants them to study, because the school wants to mint money. Understand that. It's of no use. Let the children be themselves. Let them enjoy or get them into a hobby that they would like to do, rather than telling them to do this vicious cycle of studying which is not really studying. I know it because I have experienced it personally. I have seen my children doing it. So I would just end and say that exams must not happen during this pandemic. And I hope that the opposition understands this. Thank you.
And here we just had our last speech. And this reminds me that perhaps the theme of the last meeting, the joint meeting with Cairo Toastmasters, the theme of this meeting should also have been Judbai Jujutsu. For a simple reason, Neha Walia ma'am was again here to tell us, बाएं हाथ का खेल है खुद देख लो. पहले बोल रहे थे कोई नहीं सुनता था. So now